Chosen. One stop for a moment. Heaven has interrupted your scrolling because this message is not coincidence. This moment is divine appointment. November 12th is not just another day on the calendar, it is a threshold. A spiritual checkpoint written into time long before you were born. Everything that has ever resisted you, delayed you, or tried to silence you has been aware of this date. It is the hour heaven whispers, "Enough. Now the chosen must awaken." You have felt it, haven't you? The sense that something is building, that invisible hands are moving behind the scenes, the restless stirring in your spirit, the unease you cannot explain. These are not random emotions. They are divine signals. Heaven is trying to get your attention because something marked for you is about to unfold. Every test you've endured has been preparation for what is approaching. Listen carefully. There are certain days when the veil between heaven and earth thins, when God releases instruction for His chosen ones. November 12th is one of those prophetic days. You may think it's just another Tuesday, another ordinary week, but in the realm of the Spirit, it is written as a day of separation. Those who listen will advance, those who delay will drift. Beloved, you have been in hidden training. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every tear shed in silence, it was not wasted. Heaven was shaping resilience within you. You were never rejected, you were refined. While others ran ahead, chasing comfort, God hid you in the shadows, preparing your spirit for this exact hour. And now, as the world scrolls aimlessly, heaven whispers your name. Do not take this lightly. God has placed signs in your path to remind you that you are chosen for this generation. Your light disrupts darkness. Your presence frustrates evil plans. That's why attacks increased, distractions multiplied, and fatigue tried to silence your prayer life. The enemy knows something heaven has written about you, that your obedience on November 12th will unlock what years of effort could not achieve. The Spirit is saying, "Rise, chosen one, stand at the gate." This is your divine wake-up call. The hesitation must end. No more wondering if you heard correctly. No more waiting for a perfect confirmation. This is it. The atmosphere is shifting. Angels are on assignment. The clock of heaven is ticking toward that prophetic date. And you are not meant to spectate. You are called to participate. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 13, "Therefore keep watch, for you do not know the day or the hour when the Son of Man will come." These words echo now, not as a warning of doom, but as a call to vigilance. You are being summoned to spiritual readiness. Heaven is aligning opportunities, divine connexion, and revelations that will manifest only through obedience. If you sleep through this season, you will miss what God reserved for you. But if you stay alert, if you align your spirit to His whisper, you will see doors open that others can only dream of. Chosen one, you are standing at the edge of divine movement. This is not fear, it is sacred urgency. Do not mistake conviction for pressure. Conviction is mercy. It is heaven saying, "There is still time. Move now." You are being invited to partner with destiny. Every prophetic date is a door, and every door requires action. That action begins with faith. Faith is not passive belief. It is obedient motion. Faith says, "I will not just listen, I will move." On November Shati Masrath, Move in obedience. Speak when heaven prompts you to speak. Pray when the Spirit stirs you to pray. Forgive when bitterness tries to hold you captive. That date will test your response. Will you delay or will you declare? Yes. Lord, I am ready. Let the heavens record your choice today. If your spirit bears witness to these words, do not scroll past them as if they were another piece of content. Heaven paused your day for this. You were meant to hear it. Type it. Declare it. Believe it. Before you leave, beloved, remember this. When you engage, you activate. When you share, you spread light. When you subscribe, you align yourself with ongoing revelation meant for the chosen remnant. Do not let this flow end here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, not for numbers, but as a prophetic act of agreement. When you do, it is as though you're saying, "Yes, Lord, I receive this word into my life." No, because heaven is counting down to November 12th. Because your obedience determines what opens next. Because this is your moment. Comment below this prophetic number 777 as a declaration that you are ready, aligned, and alert. The air feels different around you. Chosen one, even the ordinary sounds of your life footsteps, passing cars, ticking clocks seem slower, as if creation itself is holding its breath. Something unseen hovers in the atmosphere, something divine and deliberate. Heaven has marked you. Before you ever prayed your first prayer or spoke your first amen, your name was etched into the scrolls of eternity. You are not an accident wandering through time. You are an assignment wrapped in flesh, walking toward a divine intersection called November 12th. This is not superstition, not random numerology or coincidence. This is prophetic timing. God has been aligning events, people, and even delays to lead you here. You've been wondering why certain doors wouldn't open, why opportunities slipped through your hands, why relationships ended without explanation. The truth is, heaven was protecting the timing of your unveiling. The blessing had to wait until your spirit matured to carry it. Heaven refuses to release what your character cannot yet sustain. There are seasons when God hides you, not because you are unworthy, but because you are too precious to be exposed prematurely. You were hidden like a seed beneath the soil, overlooked, underestimated, and yet growing all along. Every disappointment was a layer of soil, pushing you deeper into purpose. You may have thought you were buried, but you were being planted. What happens on November 12th is not an introduction of something new. It is the emergence of what has been quietly growing within you all this time. The heavens know your name. Angels recognize your assignment. Darkness trembles at your rising. This is why warfare increased, why confusion clouded your mind, why fatigue attacked your body, why fear whispered that you are not enough. The enemy always attacks what he cannot stop. He saw the mark of heaven on you and tried to make you doubt it. But you must remember, even in your weakest hour, you were never abandoned. The silence of God was not absence, it was strategy. Heaven was waiting for your alignment. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision awaits, an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it will surely come. It will not delay." Those words still pulse through eternity, reminding you that divine timing never fails. The vision concerning your life, your calling, your destiny. Your breakthrough has an appointed hour, and the hour is near. November 12th is not a deadline, it is a delivery date. Heaven has scheduled your next dimension, and obedience is the key that unlocks it. You have been feeling the tension between waiting and moving, haven't you? That tug in your chest between resting in God's promise and wanting to make things happen by your own strength. But this time, you cannot rush. You cannot force open what heaven has sealed for a purpose. You are to stand still in faith, not in fear. God is not late. He is exact. Every delay you've suffered is a setup for precision. Beloved, this is what marked by heaven truly means. It means your story is not random. The scars on your heart, the tears on your pillow, the seasons of silence, the years of waiting, all of it forms a map that leads to this divine convergence. Heaven knows exactly where you are. Every step, even the ones you regret, have been woven into the fabric of destiny. The hand of God has been guiding you through confusion, not away from it. And now, He is whispering again, "Hold steady. I have not forgotten you." Heaven is aligning the unseen. The threads are coming together. Even now, while you read this, angels move like winds of purpose, clearing the way ahead of you. The things you feared were lost forever are being restored in greater measure. What you thought was the end was merely a pause in heaven's timing. So breathe. Chosen one, you do not need to prove your worth to anyone. You do not need to strive to be seen. The one who marked you already sees you. The day is approaching when heaven will unveil what you have carried in secret. Do not fight for recognition, prepare for revelation. When the light of November 12th breaks over your life, those who misunderstood you will stand in awe, and you will know that every moment of pain, every unanswered prayer, was leading you to this, an encounter with divine timing itself. The silence around you is not empty, it is sacred. Heaven often speaks in whispers, not thunder. You may think that the quiet moments mean God has withdrawn, but in truth, they are His most intimate invitations. Every sleepless night, every question that echoed in your heart, was part of your silent preparation. While others were chasing applause, you were being refined in stillness. You were being trained to hear heaven without noise. You did not choose this isolation, it was chosen for you. The path of a chosen one is narrow, because few can bear the weight of destiny. You have felt the sting of being misunderstood, even by those you loved most. You have questioned why your kindness was repaid with betrayal, why your faith seemed to cost you everything. But all along, God was teaching you to depend on Him alone. He stripped away every false support so that when your moment arrived, you would know without question that it was His hand and His hand alone that lifted you. The silence has been your teacher. It has built your discernment, sharpened your vision, and deepened your compassion. The world sees silence as punishment, but heaven calls it incubation. When a seed is buried, it looks forgotten, but it is becoming what it was always meant to be. So too, with you. The pain that once felt like abandonment was the soil around your roots. And now, as November 12 draws near, the silence begins to break. The atmosphere around your spirit is changing. You can feel the tremor of approaching revelation. Something is shifting not outside you, but within. Heaven is preparing to reveal what has been hidden. Those who mocked your faith will soon witness your harvest. Those who doubted your promise will see the evidence of obedience. The time of hiddenness is closing. You are stepping into the unveiling. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 30, verse 5. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. These words are not poetic comfort, they are prophecy. Your night season is ending. The morning of manifestation is near. God is not merely giving you back what was lost, He is multiplying what you surrendered. The tears that once fell in pain will become the rain that waters your promise. The things that broke you will now become your testimony. Do not despise your small beginnings. Do not curse the silence. For every chosen one, there comes a night when nothing makes sense, when prayers feel unanswered, and heaven feels distant. But it is in that night that your faith is purified. It is there that you are transformed from believer to warrior. The silence is not punishment, it is strategy. It proves your endurance. It prepares your voice for influence. And now, as you stand on the threshold of revelation, heaven whispers, "Stay awake." The breakthrough you have prayed for will not come through noise, but through quiet obedience. The most powerful doors are opened by unseen hands. Your only task is to keep your heart steady and your spirit open. God is not finished, He is just getting started. Let these words settle deep into your heart. This silence will soon sing. Everything you thought was still is only waiting for divine timing. The pieces that seemed scattered are aligning into a pattern of glory. The things that didn't work out were never meant to stay. They were preparing space for what's about to arrive. When the silence breaks, it will not be a whisper, it will be a symphony. And now, chosen one, heaven asks something simple of you, a prophetic act that seals this moment of recognition. Comment, "I rise." Oh, type it not as a ritual, but as a declaration. When you write those two words, you are saying, "I will not drown in the silence. I will not remain buried. I rise." You are marking your spirit in agreement with heaven's timing. The moment you release those words, something unseen begins to shift. The silence becomes your launching ground. And as you rise, the atmosphere around you begins to respond. The same silence that once felt like a prison now becomes the echo chamber of your rebirth. Every angel assigned to your life takes note of your declaration, for heaven recognizes the voice of one who finally stands in full agreement with divine purpose. Soon, the fruit of this obedience will begin to appear, not through sudden noise or spectacle, but through quiet transformation. Conversations will align, opportunities will unfold, and peace will replace confusion. You will realize that rising was never about movement, it was about surrender. This is how chosen ones ascend through quiet, unwavering faith. The dawn is closer than you think. The stillness was never your end, it was your preparation for the sound of destiny. The night feels heavy before dawn, doesn't it? Chosen one, that weight you sense, it is not the absence of God, but the intensity of His testing. When heaven prepares to promote, it first examines loyalty. Every great destiny is preceded by a moment where the soul is stretched, where faith is tested beyond understanding. You are standing in that moment now. The winds of testing blow not to destroy you, but to reveal what cannot be shaken. You have prayed for elevation. But elevation always requires examination. Before every divine unveiling, God measures the heart. He asks questions not with words, but through circumstances, questions like, will you still trust me when the promise delays? Will you still serve when no one sees? Will you still believe when the outcome seems impossible? These are not punishments, they are invitations. Heaven is inviting you to prove that your faith is not conditional. There are days when loyalty feels costly. You may feel tempted to lower your standards, to compromise your calling for comfort. But obedience is never cheap. It demands everything. God's tests are never about information. They are about revelation. He already knows your heart. The test is so you can know your heart. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every unanswered prayer becomes the mirror reflecting your true devotion. The truth is, many desire destiny but few can endure refinement. The refining fire is where the chosen are separated from the crowd. Others crumble under pressure. But not you. You were built to endure what would have broken others. The scars on your heart are proof that your loyalty has already been tested in secret. And now, the testing reaches its final phase, your willingness to trust without proof. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 2. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years, to humble you and to test you, in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands. Those ancient words still echo today, reminding you that wilderness is not punishment, it is preparation. You were never abandoned in your dry seasons. You were being trained to depend on the voice of God more than the approval of people. The wilderness stripped you of false securities so that when your promised land appears, you would recognize that every victory belongs to him alone. Loyalty in silence builds authority in public. Every time you chose obedience over recognition, heaven took note. Every secret act of faithfulness has been recorded in the archives of eternity. You may not have received applause, but you received something greater: trust. God trusts you now, with assignments he cannot give to everyone. This is the hour when heaven measures integrity more than noise. Anyone can shout about faith when blessings flow, but the chosen prove their loyalty in obscurity. They serve even when unseen. They pray even when weary. They stay faithful even when results seem delayed. This is what separates the called from the chosen. The test is not meant to shame you, it is meant to shape you. Every delay you have faced is not rejection, but refinement. God has been removing what cannot go with you. Some people had to leave because their loyalty could not withstand your next level. Some opportunities had to close because they would have compromised your obedience. This is not loss, it is purification. Loyalty is heaven's currency. When you remain loyal in the wilderness, God invests trust in your name. And when heaven trusts you, no man can take your place. You become unstoppable, not because of talent, but because of character. The fire of testing burns away what is temporary and leaves behind what is eternal. And as November 12th approaches, the testing intensifies not to destroy you, but to complete you. The enemy will attempt to distract you, to provoke doubt, to question whether God still sees you. But remember this: every test that seems designed to break you is actually calibrated to promote you. You are not being punished, you are being proven. Stand firm. Keep your heart pure. Do not let bitterness take root. No matter how justified it feels, the test is temporary, the reward is eternal. You will soon see why you had to go through this valley. Every moment of pain will make sense when the promise unfolds. And when others marvel at your sudden elevation, They will not know the fire you endured in silence. So, hold steady. Beloved, the test is not a sign of abandonment. It is a signal of promotion. Heaven is preparing to entrust you with influence that requires unwavering loyalty. Let your faith remain immovable, your love unshaken, and your obedience absolute. Because once you pass this test, doors that were once locked will swing open with divine acceleration. Remain loyal, for loyalty is the final proof of readiness. When the test concludes, you will not only emerge victorious, you will emerge transformed. Chosen one. The moment has come when heaven calls you to awaken fully. You have walked through darkness and silence. You have endured the testing fires that purified your loyalty. Now, something begins to stir within you, a spiritual alarm clock ringing from the throne of heaven itself. November 12th is not approaching. It is calling. The sound of destiny hums beneath the noise of your everyday life, urging your spirit to rise, to remember, to respond. You have been asleep in certain places of your soul, dreaming of purpose, but not yet moving in it. God has been patient, letting you rest while He healed your heart. But now the clock strikes closer to your appointed time. This awakening is not about noise, it's about awareness. You are about to see with clearer eyes, to hear with finer discernment, and to walk with authority you didn't realize you already carried. Think of yourself as a candle that was hidden beneath a covering. The flame never went out. It only waited for the right moment to be uncovered. That moment is now. The world needs your light. There are people waiting for the sound of your obedience, the way a flower waits for sunlight. When you speak, something awakens in others. When you move, dormant faith stirs in hearts you didn't even know you could reach. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Those words are not mere poetry, they are a command. Arise, stand up inwardly. Refuse to stay in the shadows of doubt. Refuse to keep your light dim for fear of being misunderstood. You are the torch heaven intends to lift in this generation. Your awakening will awaken others. But awakening comes with responsibility. When light rises, darkness reacts. You will notice resistance, the sudden wave of fatigue, the quiet whisper of unworthiness, the temptation to procrastinate. These are not coincidences. They are distractions designed to dull your awareness. Yet, every attack confirms your significance. The darkness only fights what threatens it. You must guard your focus. This season demands spiritual alertness. There is a difference between waiting on God and sleeping through opportunity. Heaven is not asking you to do everything. It is asking you to stay awake, to sense the subtle movements of His Spirit, to obey His voice, even when it feels inconvenient. And while you awaken, remember this: you are not alone. You are part of a remnant scattered lights across the earth, each one carrying divine assignment. This message finds you not by algorithm, but by orchestration. Heaven connects chosen hearts through invisible threads. You may not see their faces, but countless others are waking up with you, answering the same call. Chosen one. Allow this truth to settle deep. Your obedience carries ripple effects. A single act of surrender can shift entire atmospheres. The smallest yes can ignite revival in someone else's life. That is how heaven works, through small, faithful sparks that together create blazing transformation. And here is where the metaphor becomes flesh. You are both the candle and the keeper of the flame. Your time, your energy, your prayers, your willingness to share light, all of it sustains the fire. This divine work spreads through generosity of spirit. When you share the message, you extend the glow further. When you speak hope, you become part of heaven's echo. If this word has stirred something in you, let your response be a reflection of gratitude. Like the widow with the small jar of oil, your contribution, whether through sharing, subscribing, or even donating, becomes fuel for the flame. Each act of support is a thread in the tapestry of this mission, allowing the light to reach more hearts that desperately need awakening, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. When you give, you do not lose, you multiply. So, take a moment. If this message has spoken to your soul, gently press the like. Share it not for vanity, but as an act of intercession. Each share is like planting a seed in unseen soil. Subscribe, not as a follower, but as a participant in this movement of light. And if your heart feels led, sow a seed through donation, a tangible way of saying, I believe in this flame. Every gift, small or great, sustains the sound of awakening. Your response becomes worship. Your engagement becomes agreement. Heaven moves through both word and deed. This is the time to awaken, not later, not when you feel ready, but now. The trumpet of destiny has already sounded in the unseen realm. Do not ignore its call. You were born for this hour, equipped for this generation, chosen to carry fire into places where hearts have gone cold. Rise, chosen one. Stretch your spirit. Shake off the dust of delay. The dawn is near, and your light must not be hidden any longer. Let your awakening echo through your actions. Let your obedience become your offering. The world is waiting for what heaven has placed inside you. Chosen one. You can feel it, the pull between obedience and hesitation. The spiritual climate around you is shifting rapidly. Heaven is aligning paths, people, and moments that were once scattered. Yet at the same time, the enemy of your soul is busy, weaving distractions, trying to make you miss your divine appointment. November 12th is not only a date, it is a dividing line. On that day, heaven separates those who merely believe from those who obey. This is the season of prophetic alignment. The word alignment may sound abstract, but in the realm of the Spirit, it means everything falling into divine order. When your heart, mind, and actions match heaven's rhythm, miracles flow naturally. Alignment is not about perfection, it's about agreement. It means saying, God, even if I don't understand it all, I choose to move when you say move. Now, you may have noticed strange patterns recently, old fears resurfacing, unexpected delays, even sudden emotional fatigue. None of these are coincidences. They are the last attempts of darkness to pull you off course. Every spiritual destiny faces resistance right before breakthrough. The closer you are to fulfillment, the louder the noise becomes. But you, chosen one, must recognize the difference between distraction and direction. One drains you, the other disciplines you. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 6, verse 16. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is, and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. That verse is not about nostalgia, it is about discernment. Heaven is calling you to pause and evaluate the path you're walking. Alignment often begins with surrender, not motion. It means pausing long enough to hear heaven's heartbeat before taking the next step. You have been conditioned to move fast, to achieve quickly, but divine timing never rushes. Alignment happens when patience meets obedience. Think of it like tuning an instrument. Each string must be adjusted carefully until harmony is restored. If you pull too hard, it breaks. If you leave it too loose, the sound wavers. Your spirit, too, is being tuned. God is adjusting your habits, your priorities, even your circle. Some connections are being stretched, some are being cut, and it may hurt, but it is necessary for clarity. He is bringing your soul into harmony with His purpose. This is why obedience in this season is non-negotiable. You cannot delay and expect the same result. Every instruction carries a window, a divine timing attached to it. To miss the window is to delay the promise. When heaven whispers a command, pray, forgive, solve, speak, rest. You must respond quickly. The slow response of the obedient heart can cost months of delay, but a single act of swift obedience can recover years of loss. You must understand, chosen one, that prophetic alignment is not something that happens to you, it happens through you. God partners with your will, not your hesitation. The Spirit can nudge, convict, and confirm, but you hold the final key of agreement. That is why obedience is the highest form of worship. It says, I trust you, even when I cannot trace you. And as November 12 draws near, pay attention to what feels off. The things that once fit but now feel heavy are not evil, they're expired. Not everything that once blessed you is meant to accompany you into your next chapter. God is clearing your schedule, shifting your priorities, and even altering your desires to make space for what's coming. When your soul and heaven align, you will know it. Peace will replace pressure. Clarity will silence confusion. You will feel an inner stillness that confirms, I am where I'm meant to be. And when that happens, you will walk into rooms that once intimidated you and carry authority that cannot be explained by experience alone. Because alignment brings acceleration. When heaven's timing meets your obedience, everything changes. So hear this. Beloved, this is not a season to hesitate. Do not postpone your response. The delay of one day can cost you a door that heaven intended to open. You have waited long enough for alignment. Now let alignment find you ready. If your spirit is bearing witness to this message, seal it with a prophetic act. Comment 444. Write it not as a number, but as a declaration. It represents divine order, balance, and completeness. When you type it, you're saying, Lord, bring every area of my life into harmony with your will. Let that number be your yes in digital form, a visible sign of an invisible agreement. Heaven is watching your readiness. November 12th is not a deadline, it is a doorway. Step through it, aligned, steady, and awake. Let no confusion rob you of what has been prepared for your obedience. This is the hour where chosen ones align and rise. You can almost feel the pressure building, can't you? Chosen one? The weight in the air, the heaviness in your spirit. It is not random. It is the sound of resistance. When light prepares to rise, darkness becomes restless. The shadows know your awakening is near, and they will do anything to make you doubt it. You are not imagining the sudden discouragement, the distractions, the unexpected conflict. These are the whispers of resistance, subtle, persistent, disperati. The enemy cannot destroy what God has ordained, but he can try to distract it. His greatest weapon is not destruction, it is distortion. If he can twist your perception, he can make you question what you already know. He plants seeds of doubt, fear, and confusion, not to stop you, but to make you stop yourself. Yet you must remember, the storm only rises when the ship is moving. Every chosen one reaches a moment when the shadows press harder. It is the final resistance before breakthrough. You have prayed, fasted, waited, and now the pressure increases. That pressure is proof of proximity. It means the gates of release are close. Heaven has begun to shift things in your favor, and the darkness is panicking. The shadows operate through familiar voices, people who misunderstand your calling, circumstances that mirror your old fears, memories that replay your past mistakes. The enemy doesn't need new weapons, he only recycles what used to work. That's why you feel like old battles are resurfacing. But they're not returning to defeat you, they're returning so you can finally conquer them for good. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 10, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Those words may seem sharp, but they carry healing power. Adversity is not sent to expose your weakness. It is designed to reveal your hidden strength. The shadows attack because you are stronger than you think. The very fact that the darkness resists you means you are carrying something luminous, something disruptive to the kingdom of lies. Do not fear the darkness, it fears you. Your light agitates what hides in shadow. Your presence alone unsettles chaos. Every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, prayer over panic, and faith over fear, you wage silent war and you win. The enemy cannot handle consistency. He thrives in emotional chaos, but he crumbles under steadfastness. So, when resistance rises, stay rooted. When the shadows whisper, silence them with truth. Remind yourself who you are and whose you are. You are not fighting for victory, you are fighting from victory. The battle is not proof of failure, it is confirmation of progress. Think of a seed once more. It must push through soil before it meets sunlight. The resistance of the earth does not mean the seed is dying. It means life is demanding passage. Likewise, the weight pressing against you is the very pressure that will prove your strength. Without resistance, your roots would remain shallow, but because of it, you are anchored. The shadows also reveal who truly stands with you. Some will fade when light confronts darkness, others will rise beside you, drawn by the same divine fire. God uses resistance to refine relationships. He exposes hidden intentions and strengthens holy alliances. It may hurt to see certain people fall away. But remember, pruning is not rejection, it is preparation. The gardener cuts only what hinders fruitfulness. The temptation in this hour is to fight the wrong battle. The enemy wants you distracted by personalities, not principalities. He wants you reacting in the flesh rather than discerning in the spirit. Do not waste energy defending yourself in places where God has already justified you. Let silence be your sword. Your peace will speak louder than your explanations. As November 12th nears, the battle may intensify. Do not panic. It is the sound of walls falling. The same resistance that tried to block you will soon become the evidence that God's promise is real. You will look back and realize that what the enemy meant for harm only refined your armor. Remember this truth. Beloved, light never loses to darkness. It doesn't argue with it. It simply shines. When you stand firm in faith, the shadows cannot endure your glow. They may surround you for a moment, but they cannot consume you. So, lift your head. The pressure will pass. The whispers will fade. And when they do, you will find yourself standing stronger, clearer, and closer to destiny than ever before. The shadows resist because they know what you're about to become. And what you are about to become terrifies them. There are moments in life when time feels strange, slowed down, stretched, almost sacred. You may not realize it. Chosen one. But you are standing in one of those moments now. Heaven has placed a timestamp on this season, a divine appointment woven into the fabric of time itself. November 12th is not a superstition nor a coincidence. It is a heavenly signature written across your earthly calendar. The God who created galaxies also numbered your days, and this one has been marked with purpose. Heaven operates on time differently than earth. For us, time moves in straight lines, measured by clocks and calendars. But in heaven, time moves in cycles, seasons of sowing, waiting, and reaping. Every divine promise carries a timeline, an appointed hour when the unseen finally becomes visible. You are now approaching one of those appointed hours. When God marks a moment, He hides instruction inside it. That is why spiritual sensitivity matters. You may sense unusual urgency in your heart lately, a pull to pray more deeply, to release certain habits, to forgive someone you thought you never could. That inner stirring is not emotional restlessness, it's divine synchronization. Heaven is preparing your spirit to be in rhythm with divine timing. There is a mystery in how God uses time. Sometimes He hides answers in delay. Other times, He hides warnings in opportunity. The wise learn to listen not just to words, but to timing. A word spoken too soon can be lost. An opportunity seized too late can close. That is why heaven calls you now to be alert, awake, aligned. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 9, verse 5. The Lord set a time and said, "Tomorrow the Lord will do this in the land." Oh, that declaration shows how God's power and timing walk hand in hand. The miracle did not happen instantly. It happened on schedule. God never acts randomly. He acts with rhythm. Every healing, every deliverance, every revelation comes at an appointed time. Even the waiting seasons are part of the design. You have been in a long season of delay, haven't you? Days blurred together, prayers unanswered, dreams postponed. But this is not denial, it is divine pacing. God delays not to punish, but to prepare. If blessings arrive too early, they can crush the unready heart. Timing is mercy, wearing patience as a disguise. Do not despise the waiting. Heaven has perfect aim. Every second of your delay has been divine calibration. You are being positioned to receive what once would have overwhelmed you. The strength you gained through the waiting will help you carry what's about to be released. Chosen one, consider this. Time is not your enemy, it's your teacher. Every moment that felt wasted was secretly building endurance. Every detour was a lesson disguised as disappointment. God is the architect of time. He wastes nothing. What feels like delay on earth is often acceleration in heaven's schedule. When you finally step into alignment with God's appointed time, everything changes effortlessly. Doors open without force. People appear who carry missing pieces of your journey. Ideas come alive that once felt impossible. Divine timing doesn't just bless, it orchestrates. It arranges events, emotions, and encounters into harmony. That is what is happening now. You may have noticed recurring numbers, repeated dreams, or inner impressions. These are not random patterns, they are timestamps. Heaven is drawing your attention to the fact that something is converging. Every prayer, every act of faith, every tear has been collected in heaven's record. November 12th is not just a point in time. It is the moment those stored-up answers begin to flow. Still, you must understand that divine timing also carries accountability. To receive what God has scheduled, your spirit must be awake. If distraction rules you, you may stand at the right door, but miss the knock. Heaven doesn't shout, it whispers. The prepared heart hears the whisper, while the distracted heart keeps scrolling past it. So in these final days before the prophetic hour, guard your time like treasure. Avoid noise that drains your focus. Protect your peace from unnecessary chaos. Choose prayer over panic. Reflection over reaction. When the world rushes, move slowly. When others chase, stay centered. Your stillness becomes your shield. Remember this, chosen one. Divine timing is not about control, it's about cooperation. God could do everything instantly, but He chooses to partner with your obedience. When your will aligns with His timing, destiny unfolds naturally. It is no longer struggle, it is flow. As November 12th draws near, prepare your heart to recognize heaven's clock striking in your favor. The delay is over. The alignment is complete. The hour is almost here. And when it arrives, you will know, because everything inside you will exhale, and time itself will seem to whisper, "This is the moment I made you for." You have wondered for so long if your life truly carries divine purpose. You've looked at others, seen their success, their clarity, and asked quietly, "God, where do I fit?" But today, heaven answers that question. November 12th was never random. It was written with your name on it. There is a scroll in heaven, ancient and sealed, and inside it are words written about you long before you took your first breath. You are not a mistake, you are a mission. Your name has been spoken in the councils of heaven. The very sound of it carries assignment. You were sent here for more than survival. You were sent to establish light in places others have forgotten. Every battle you have faced, every tear you have cried, has prepared you to carry that divine message. The weight you feel is not failure, it's calling. You've been through seasons where you felt unseen, but that invisibility was never rejection, it was protection. God hides those He intends to reveal at the right time. The world could not handle your light too soon, so heaven kept you covered until your spirit matured. Now, the covering is lifting. You are stepping into visibility, not for fame, but for function. There are moments when destiny calls your name so loudly that ignoring it feels impossible. You are living in one of those moments. The Holy Spirit is stirring your memory, reminding you of dreams you buried, prayers you stopped praying, and visions you once feared to speak. Heaven is saying, "It's time. Pick it up again. The world still needs what I placed inside you." As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the second letter of Peter, chapter 1, verse 10, make every effort to confirm your calling and election. If you do these things, you will never stumble. These words are not meant to burden you, they are meant to empower you. Your calling is not fragile, it is fortified. You do not need to chase validation, you only need to walk in obedience. What God placed in you is irrevocable. No rejection, no failure, no delay. Kanirase it. Think of yourself as a letter sealed by heaven. The world may not have read you yet, but your content remains untouched. You are being delivered to the right destination, at the right time, to the right people. The seal will only break when you reach the hands meant to receive your message. That's what November 12th represents, the day of divine delivery. But the question remains, will you show up for your assignment? Many are called, but few step forward. Some run because of fear, others because of comfort. But you, chosen one, cannot hide forever. Your silence helps no one. Your obedience, however small, sends ripples through eternity. The souls connected to your destiny are waiting for your yes. And maybe you still feel unqualified. But remember, God never chooses the perfect. He perfects the chosen. Every flaw you think disqualifies you is actually proof that grace is alive within you. Heaven specializes in using the unexpected. Moses stuttered. David stumbled. Peter denied. Yet all fulfilled their assignments because they chose to return after falling. You, too, can rise again. This moment requires your participation. Heaven is ready to release revelation, but it responds to acknowledgement. There is power in confession. Speaking truth activates reality. So, chosen one, do something prophetic now. Comment, "I'm ready." Type it as a declaration of agreement, not routine. When you write those two words, you are saying to heaven, "I'm stepping into what was written about me. I will no longer doubt my name's purpose. I am ready to walk in alignment." These words are simple, but in the spirit realm, they sound like thunder. They mark your soul as one who hears and obeys. Heaven takes note of every "I'm ready" whispered in faith. Angels move at the sound of surrender. It's not the typing itself that carries power, it's the posture of the heart behind it. Each word becomes a seed planted in the soil of time, ready to bloom when the appointed hour arrives. This is your call to remembrance, your invitation to reawaken what has been sleeping. Heaven is not introducing you to your purpose, it is reminding you of it. You were chosen before your failures, anointed before your awareness, and appointed before your awakening. So breathe deeply. Chosen one, stand tall. Look beyond the weight of what was and step toward what is unfolding. November 12th is not waiting for a perfect version of you, it is waiting for a willing one. And when you say, "I'm ready," heaven will say, "Finally." End of quote. There are moments, chosen one, when heaven draws a line that cannot be crossed. the great separation between those who hear and those who ignore, between the obedient and the comfortable. November 12th is one of those moments. It is a spiritual fault line, and the tremor you feel inside your heart is not fear, it is awakening. Heaven is dividing light from shadow, clarity from confusion, and those who are ready from those who keep delaying. You are standing at that line right now. You have likely felt the pull between two worlds, the world of comfort, where everything feels familiar but stagnant, and the world of calling, where everything is uncertain but alive. This is where destinies are forged. The easy path offers safety but no fruit. The narrow path offers transformation but demands surrender. The Holy Spirit is whispering, "Choose now." And this is not about punishment, it is about positioning. When God separates, He is not rejecting, He is refining. Just as a goldsmith removes impurities through fire, Heaven is removing what no longer belongs in your next chapter. You will lose some things, but you will gain clarity, and clarity is priceless. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 2, He cuts off every branch that bears no fruit, but every fruitful branch He prunes to be even more fruitful. That verse carries both tenderness and truth. Pruning can feel like loss, but it is love disguised as pain. The cutting away is never meant to destroy it, is meant to multiply. You are being prepared for abundance beyond what your current branches can hold. In this separation, Heaven is asking one question: what are you willing to let go of so you can grow? You cannot hold both obedience and compromise. You cannot cling to the old and still receive the new. Some relationships, habits, and mindsets have reached their expiration date. God is not being cruel. He is clearing space for increase. Imagine your life as a field. Some parts have been overgrown with weeds, busyness, comparison, fear. God, the master gardener, walks through your field now, gently pulling away what hinders fruitfulness. The soil feels disturbed. The roots ache. But soon the ground will breathe again. When the rain of favor falls, it will reach every seed without obstruction. And as heaven separates and prepares you, there is something sacred about your participation. You are not a spectator, you are a co-laborer. Every time you share a word that touched you, you're spreading seed. Every time you support this flow, whether by subscribing, donating, or sharing, you are watering the field where light will grow. Your engagement is not a digital act, it's a prophetic one. It says, "I believe in the harvest." No, you may not realize it, but your small actions carry eternal weight. A like is a flicker of light in an algorithmic sea of noise. It tells heaven, "I am present." A share is a modern-day echo of evangelism. It sends truth farther than your voice could reach. A subscription is not about numbers. It's about staying connected to ongoing revelation. And when you choose to donate, it's like placing your oil into the divine lamp that keeps this flame burning. Every drop counts. Every act fuels the message reaching hearts across nations. This is what partnership with purpose looks like. It's the unseen army of the faithful, each one holding a lantern, lighting the path for the next soul to find their way home. You are not just listening, you are helping light the way. In this hour, God is not asking for perfection, He is asking for participation. The great separation is not to frighten but to awaken. Those who move now will walk in acceleration. Those who hesitate will find themselves circling old mountains again. But you, chosen one, will not circle, you will ascend. Take this moment and breathe it in. Let gratitude rise from your spirit. The fact that you are reading these words means heaven still sees you, still believes in your yes. Everything you have walked through has been leading to this choice to stand, to shine, to stay connected. So if this word resonates, if something in you says, "This is my moment," then act on it, not out of emotion, but out of alignment. Like, share, and subscribe, not because you were told to, but because your spirit recognizes truth and wants to multiply it. And if your heart feels stirred to give, do it quietly, sincerely. Let your gift be a whisper of gratitude, a ripple in the river of God's purpose flowing through this message. Heaven keeps records of small things, the tiniest seed of faith, the faintest, yes, the quietest donation, all are sacred. In the kingdom, nothing given in obedience is ever wasted. The great separation is not ending, it is beginning. And those who choose light will walk into unprecedented clarity. You are one of them. You are the branch that endures pruning because you were made to bear much fruit. Chosen one. There is a quiet heaviness that comes after moments of divine revelation, a sacred stillness that asks not for applause, but for reflection. You have crossed the first threshold of awakening, and now you are entering the sacred chamber of consequence. For every divine call, there is a divine response. Obedience opens doors, but disobedience can close them just as swiftly. This is not meant to scare you, it is meant to sober you. The closer you walk with heaven, the more sacred time becomes. There are two kinds of consequences in the spiritual realm, the natural and the divine. The natural consequence is the echo of our own choices. The divine consequence is the silence that follows disobedience. Heaven's silence is not cruelty, it is discipline. When God stops speaking about something he once emphasized, it's not because he's done with you, it's because he's waiting for you to respond to the last thing he said. Many believers ask for new instructions while ignoring the old ones. Yet heaven will not rewrite the script until obedience completes the previous line. You cannot step into the next chapter until you've lived the one you're in. This is why it often feels like life repeats the same lesson, because the test you avoid becomes the test that returns. Heaven speaks through the writings of Moses in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. These words still vibrate through eternity. Choice is the cornerstone of consequence. God will never force your obedience, but he will honor your decision. Every moment of hesitation is a crossroad between grace and delay. Mercy stands ready, but mercy is not endless. There comes a time when the window closes, not because God's heart hardens, but because his plan must move forward. You have felt those moments before, haven't you? Times when your spirit sensed a gentle warning. Don't ignore this prompting. That unease was not anxiety, it was divine urgency. God was asking for your yes, and you postponed it, thinking you had more time. But the truth is, time is never neutral. Every delay either strengthens obedience or strengthens resistance. What you nurture grows. This is why obedience matters so deeply. It shapes the atmosphere of your destiny. One act of obedience can unlock generations of blessing, just as one act of rebellion can birth unnecessary pain. The consequence of disobedience is not always visible. It begins as distance. You start to notice that peace feels faint. Prayer feels harder. Worship feels mechanical. Heaven hasn't abandoned you. You've simply drifted out of alignment. But even here, in the space of consequence, there is mercy. Conviction is heaven's way of saying, the door is not closed yet. Conviction is not condemnation, it's invitation. It means God still sees potential in your obedience. It means redemption is still possible. Remember, chosen one. Disobedience does not always look like rebellion. Sometimes it looks like delay. Sometimes it looks like comfort, silence, or overthinking. The enemy doesn't need to turn you against God. He just needs to convince you to wait one more day. But every day of delay is a day stolen from destiny. The beauty of divine consequence is that it's redemptive. Even when you wander, the path back remains open. Every moment of repentance writes a new possibility into your future. You can't undo the past, but you can sanctify it by learning from it. Heaven wastes nothing, not even your mistakes. So reflect deeply now. Ask yourself, what has God been repeating to me lately? What have I been ignoring because it feels uncomfortable? The answer to those questions often carries your breakthrough. There is a story being written, and you hold the pen in partnership with heaven. Each choice is a sentence. Each act of obedience adds light. Each act of resistance delays revelation. But even if the page before you was dark, you can still turn it. Grace is the ink of second chances. As November 12 drowsniarer. The atmosphere around you tightens not as threat, but as birth. Consequence is the labor of destiny. Pain is often the final push before promise emerges. Do not resist it, embrace it. Let consequence refine you, not define you. When the day comes, you will look back and understand every delayed obedience, every lost opportunity, every correction was not judgment, it was preparation. God was not punishing you. He was pruning you to handle the glory that obedience would soon release. So let this moment be sacred. Choose life. Choose alignment. Choose the path that keeps your spirit sensitive to heaven's whisper. For consequence, though it feels heavy, is always a sign that heaven still believes in your ability to return. Chosen one. Heaven is not silent anymore. The quiet testing has ended. The time for activation has come. Everything you've walked through the silence, the struggle, the pruning was preparation for this moment. November 12th is not just a prophetic date. It is a divine ignition point. Heaven is about to breathe on what you've carried for years, and the flame of purpose will ignite where fatigue once lived. You can feel it already, can't you? The sense that something invisible is beginning to move, that your prayers have started to echo louder than before. You are not imagining it. Heaven has shifted its posture toward you. What once felt like distance is now a nearness, so intense that even your atmosphere feels charged. This is the season of prophetic activation, the hour when faith becomes movement and belief becomes embodiment. The word activation means to make something alive that was dormant. For too long, your gifts have slept under the weight of doubt and discouragement. But now, heaven commands them to awaken. The songs you never finished, the dreams you stopped pursuing, The messages you were afraid to speak, God is saying, breathe into them again. We are reminded through the writings of Paul in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 6. Therefore I remind you to stir up the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands. Those words were not written to the confident, they were written to the weary. They remind you that your calling is not lost, it's just waiting for your touch. Gifts do not die, they simply wait for permission to move. And heaven is giving you that permission now. This activation is not about emotion, it's about obedience. Many expect thunder and lightning, but most of God's activations happen quietly. A decision whispered in faith can carry the same power as a public declaration. The Holy Spirit is not asking for volume, He's asking for readiness. You don't need a crowd to confirm what heaven already declared about you. Look at your life through new eyes. The things that once felt ordinary are now becoming sacred assignments. That job you thought was a detour might actually be your mission field. That conversation you almost avoided could be the divine encounter that shifts someone's eternity. Nothing around you is random. Prophetic activation means living awake, seeing the invisible fingerprints of God on everything. You are not waiting for the supernatural. You are walking in it. Every time you choose peace over panic, you activate heaven's order. Every time you forgive when bitterness feels justified, you release spiritual power. Every prayer whispered in faith is an act of creation. You are shaping realities through your obedience. Prophetic activation also means stepping beyond fear. Fear is a paralyzer. It keeps the gifted stuck at the doorway of destiny. But courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward, despite it. When you take even one small step of faith, heaven multiplies it. God has been waiting for your motion because movement invites miracles. Think of it like a locked door with motion sensors. It stays closed when you stand still. But the moment you walk toward it, it opens automatically. That is what happens in prophetic activation. You move first. Then heaven responds. You don't wait to feel ready. Readiness comes through action. There will be voices that question your timing or mock your faith. Ignore them. When Noah built the ark, the world had never seen rain. When Mary said yes to an impossible promise, she risked her reputation. When Peter stepped out of the boat, logic told him he would sink. Yet every one of them discovered that obedience activates the impossible. And now, heaven extends the same invitation to you. If your spirit bears witness, seal this word with a prophetic number. Comment 888. Type it not as decoration, but as declaration. 8 is the number of new beginnings. 3 8s represent triple renewal, spirit, soul, and body. When you write it, you're saying, I agree with heaven's activation over my life. I choose to step into what's new. Let that number be your amen in motion. Something happens when faith takes form. It's not the typing that shifts things, it's the obedience behind it. Every prophetic act in the Bible carried physical expression, lifting a rod, striking a stone, anointing with oil. Today, your act is digital but divine. When you comment, heaven marks it as a signal of surrender. So arise now. Chosen one. Stretch your spirit. Let faith replace hesitation. November 12th will not just pass, it will ignite. Your obedience today determines how brightly you burn tomorrow. Heaven's countdown has begun, and you are part of it. This is your activation hour. The night sky above you feels alive. doesn't it? You can sense that something invisible is moving, stirring, building momentum. That unease in your spirit is not confusion, it is awareness. The realm of heaven and the realm of earth are closer than they appear. When obedience rises, warfare follows. And right now, your obedience has set something in motion. You are not fighting alone. Every chosen one, every surrendered soul, is part of a vast invisible army. Angels have been dispatched. Assignments have been released. And the enemy knows it. The intensity of your recent battles has not been proof of weakness. It has been evidence of spiritual impact. You are not under attack because you're failing. You are under attack because you are advancing. Spiritual warfare is not always dramatic. It is often subtle. It shows up as exhaustion without reason, as irritation from nowhere, as sudden emotional heaviness that clouds your thoughts. The unseen realm interacts with your emotions, trying to wear down your faith until you stop believing what heaven has already promised. But this is the time to remember who you are and what you carry. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 37, still echo today. No, in all these things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. That declaration is not metaphor, it is reality. You are not simply surviving, you are overcoming. You are not a soldier scrambling for safety, you are a warrior already crowned in victory. The enemy's greatest deception is to make you forget that he cannot change your destiny, so he tries to change your perception of it. Every attack you have faced lately has been a distorted reflection of your true power. When you feel weak, it's because strength is being tested. When you feel surrounded, it's because heaven's forces are positioning themselves around you. Warfare is a mirror. It reveals your worth by what opposes you. Think of the air before a storm. It grows heavy, charged, almost electric. That tension is not chaos, it's transition. The same is happening in your spirit. The warfare around you is not a sign of defeat. It's the friction that precedes breakthrough. The enemy resists because he senses what's about to be released through you. There is a law in the spirit realm. Opposition always increases before elevation. Moses faced Pharaoh before freedom. Elijah confronted Jezebel before revival. Jesus faced betrayal before resurrection. You are in the same divine pattern. The pressure is proof of proximity. The war intensifies when the victory is near. Do not waste energy fighting shadows. The battle is not won by noise, but by knowing. Know your authority. Know your identity. Know that the one who called you is greater than anything that rises against you. When you speak truth, darkness has no choice but to retreat. The name of Jesus is not a phrase, it is power made audible. Speak it often, even in whispers. It shifts atmospheres. Remember too that spiritual warfare is not always external. It can happen in the mind. Doubt, anxiety, and despair are arrows meant to pierce your focus. Guard your thoughts as you would guard a fortress. The mind is the gate through which both heaven and hell try to enter. Choose which voice you entertain. Worship opens heaven's frequency. Worry opens the enemy's. And yet, in the midst of battle, do not forget rest. Rest is not retreat. It is warfare's highest strategy. The enemy thrives on your exhaustion. He cannot function in your peace. When you rest, you declare that victory does not depend on striving, but on trust. The still heart wins more wars than the frantic one. Chosen one, You are learning to fight differently, no longer reacting to every shadow, but discerning the source, no longer swinging wildly in fear, but standing firm in authority. The most powerful stance in warfare is stability. You are not meant to chase darkness. You are meant to outshine it. The angels assigned to you are not distant. They move with your agreement. Every time you declare truth, they act. Every time you resist fear, they advance. You are surrounded, not abandoned. And when the final wave of resistance breaks, it will collapse under the weight of your persistence. The war in the heavens is fierce. But heaven has already declared the outcome. The Lamb has overcome. The blood has spoken. The victory is sealed. What remains now is your endurance, your decision to keep standing until the storm passes. So breathe, warrior of light. Lift your eyes from the chaos and fix them on the one who commands the hosts of heaven. You are not the target, you are the threat. And when the dust settles, it will not be your ruin that is remembered. It will be your resilience. Listen closely now. Chosen one. Can you feel it? The trembling in the atmosphere? It's not fear, it's anticipation. Creation itself seems to be holding its breath. The heavens are heavy with what is about to be released. You've been sensing it for days, maybe even weeks, an internal vibration, a quiet knowing that something is about to shift. That isn't imagination. That is the sound of release. Release doesn't begin outside you, it begins within. It starts when the heart finally loosens its grip on what has already expired. God cannot fill closed hands. And for so long, you've held tightly to what once sustained you: old dreams, old identities, old fears. But as November 12th approaches, heaven whispers, let go, make room. And the sound of release is not always loud. Sometimes it's the deep exhale after years of holding your breath. Sometimes it's the tear that finally falls, the prayer that breaks through, the quiet moment when you stop striving to understand and simply say, God, I trust you. That is, release the holy surrender that opens the way for divine replacement. According to what is revealed in the book of Psalms, chapter 46, verse 10, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Those ancient words are not a call to passivity, they are a command to peace. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of certainty. When God speaks, be still. He isn't silencing your body, He's steadying your soul. He's saying, stop fighting battles that are already won. Stop rehearsing what I've already resolved. Then, you've carried burdens that were never yours to bear. You've replayed conversations that no longer matter, grieved doors that were closed for your protection, and worried about futures that heaven has already secured. Now, release them. Lay them down like stones at the river's edge. The flow of God's presence cannot be dammed by yesterday's weight. The sound of release echoes differently for each soul. For some, it's forgiveness, finally letting go of resentment that has poisoned the well of joy. For others, it's obedience, releasing control and allowing God to redirect your steps. And for some, it's acceptance, realizing that the detours were not delays, but design, whatever form it takes. Release is your pathway to freedom. Imagine a bird that has healed but refuses to fly because it remembers the pain of falling. You, too, have healed more than you realize. The wounds that once defined you are now scars that prove survival, but if you keep staring at them, you'll forget that you were created to soar. Heaven is calling you to spread your wings again, to risk movement after stillness, to believe again after disappointment, to fly again after failure. Release also means releasing the need to understand everything. Faith is not built on explanations, it is built on trust. There will be mysteries that remain unanswered, and that's okay. God does not owe you clarity to prove His goodness. Sometimes He hides the reason to preserve the reward, what you call confusion. Heaven calls protection. The sound of release is also the sound of alignment. As you loosen your grip on what drains you, you'll begin to feel lighter, clearer, more sensitive to the whispers of the Spirit. You'll start noticing divine timing in small things, unexpected peace in chaos, sudden confirmation through a stranger's words, opportunities that seem to appear from nowhere. That's not coincidence, that's clarity returning. This release is not loss, it is exchange. God never takes without replacing. He removes the temporary to make room for the eternal. The things you lose in obedience will return multiplied in grace. Every closed door will echo with the sound of new beginnings. And here's the beautiful paradox of the Spirit. The moment you release control is the moment everything begins to flow. You've been trying to carry your destiny when it was never meant to be carried, it was meant to be followed. When you stop pushing against the current and let the river carry you, you'll discover how effortless grace can be. Soon, the sound of release will fill your life. Relationships reconciled, opportunities reborn, peace restored. It won't happen through striving, it will happen through surrender. Heaven's release is quiet but unstoppable, gentle but uncontainable. So exhale. Chosen one. You've done your part. You've fought, prayed, endured, and believed. Now comes the holy stillness before manifestation. The ground beneath you is trembling, not in destruction, but in birth. The waiting is ending. The release is beginning. And when it comes, it won't sound like chaos. It will sound like freedom. The air feels different now, doesn't it? Chosen one, the heaviness has lifted. The trembling has quieted. And what remains is a still strength rising within you. You've walked through shadow and silence, through the fires of testing and the ache of release. And now you stand at the edge of coronation. This is your crowning moment. Heaven has been preparing this hour since the first tear you shed in surrender. You may not see the crown, but you will feel it. It's the quiet weight of new authority resting upon your soul. There are moments when heaven marks the faithful, when those who endured the hidden seasons are finally seen. This is one of those moments. You've proven loyalty in obscurity, faith in silence, and love in difficulty. God has watched every hidden act of obedience. Every time you chose mercy over vengeance, prayer over pride, trust over fear. Crowns are not given to the loud, they are given to the loyal. The Word of God declares in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed are those who endure trials, they shall receive the crown of life from the Lord." That promise is your inheritance. The crown of life is not made of gold, it's made of grace. It represents divine favor, restored dignity, and spiritual authority. You are not being rewarded for perfection, you are being recognized for endurance. The enemy tried to break you, but instead, he refined you. The fire that was meant to consume you has polished your faith until it shines. Now, as heaven places that unseen crown upon your head, you must learn to carry it well. A crown doesn't make one superior, it makes one responsible. You carry light now, not for yourself, but for others. Your story, your scars, your victories, they are lamps for those still walking through darkness. This is your calling, to walk crowned, but humble, radiant, but reachable. And while you stand in this new grace, remember that light shared is light multiplied. The crown you wear shines brightest when reflected in others. That is why sharing what you've received matters. When you pass on encouragement, hope, or truth, you are not spreading content, you are scattering seeds. Someone scrolling in despair may stumble upon your share and find reason to breathe again. That is evangelism in the language of our generation. If this message has reached your heart, let it not stop with you. Like it, not as routine, but as recognition and amen in motion. Share it as an act of faith, letting your digital footprint become a trail of light. Subscribe not for numbers, but for nourishment, because staying connected to divine reminders keeps your flame steady. And if your heart feels moved, give sincerely, quietly. Every offering becomes oil for the lamp. When you sow, you partner with heaven in keeping this flow alive. Each donation, no matter how small, helps extend the message to another heart waiting for awakening. It's not transaction, it's transformation. You are not funding words, you are fueling light. The crown upon your spirit carries influence. When you engage, you model what stewardship looks like in this modern battlefield. The world is flooded with noise, but few are willing to amplify truth. Your like, your share, your comment, these are your instruments. Small but sacred. They may seem simple, but they build altars in the digital wilderness where souls can find light again. And now, take a moment to breathe this truth. Your journey wasn't for nothing. Every sleepless night, every silent prayer, every moment you chose to stand when it would have been easier to fall, it all led here. You've crossed through refining fires and emerged radiant. You are no longer who you were. Heaven calls you crowned. Leave a comment below as a final act of reflection. Not just words, but worship. Write what stirs in your heart. Tell heaven and the world, what did this journey awaken in you? Your comment is not noise, it's testimony. It's the ripple that could reach someone else on the edge of surrender. Chosen one. The crown fits. You may not have noticed, but you've already begun to wear it in the way you speak. Forgive and endure. Carry it with grace. Walk with mercy. And remember, every crown is meant to reflect the King. You've been refined for this moment, called for this generation, chosen for this crown. Now, let your light be seen. When the dust of the battle settles, what remains is not noise, but evidence. Evidence that the hand of God was with you all along. Evidence that every tear had purpose. Every silence had meaning. Every detour was divine direction in disguise. You may not recognize it yet, but your life has become proof, living testimony that obedience is never wasted. Chosen one. This is the hour when the unseen becomes visible. The evidence of obedience does not arrive with thunder or applause. It unfolds quietly, almost tenderly. One morning, you'll wake and realize the fear that used to paralyze you no longer has a voice. You'll notice that conversations which once drained your spirit now hold no power over you. You'll look at the same landscape of your life, but this time, peace will dwell where pressure once lived. That is, evidence transformation without announcement. It's the subtle but undeniable shift that comes after you have surrendered to divine timing. Heaven rewards not through spectacle, but through stability. The real miracle is not that circumstances change, it's that you do. As the Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due time we will reap if we do not give up. This promise is the pattern of your current season. You've sown through tears, waited in silence, obeyed when it cost you. And now the first fruits of that obedience are breaking through the soil. The harvest doesn't always come as material blessing. It comes first as internal wholeness. The anxiety that once chased you loses its grip. The confusion that clouded your mind clears like mist at sunrise. That peace, that clarity, that renewed strength, those are heaven's receipts for your faithfulness. You have to understand, evidence is never immediate because true growth happens underground. Seeds spend more time unseen than celebrated, but once they break through, their roots are already deep. Likewise, your unseen seasons have produced depth. You may feel small in the eyes of others, but in the spirit, your roots stretch wide, your foundation firm. When winds of change blow, you will not topple, you will sway and return stronger. This evidence also appears through alignment. People begin to notice your glow without understanding why. Opportunities start to find you instead of you chasing them. Favor flows more naturally. Not because you've manipulated outcomes, but because your spirit finally matches heaven's rhythm. You no longer need to fight for what's yours. It simply recognizes you. Obedience creates a fragrance that attracts what belongs to your destiny. It is invisible, but unmistakable. Those meant to walk with you will sense it. Those who are not will drift away without conflict. You no longer have to convince anyone of your worth. The evidence speaks. And yet, chosen one, remember that evidence does not exempt you from humility. The moment you see results, guard your heart. Evidence is not the end of obedience. It is the continuation. The fruit of faith must remain rooted in gratitude. Pride whispers after victory, but wisdom remains silent and steady. The coming days will bring confirmation in ways you do not expect. Someone you helped long ago will return with words of gratitude. A situation that once felt cursed will suddenly reveal its hidden blessing. You'll see how even the painful parts of your journey served a higher purpose. That realization will bring both tears and worship. Do not rush the unveiling. Evidence matures in stages. A tree doesn't bear all its fruit in one sunrise. Let patience continue its work. Enjoy the quiet unfolding of God's promises. Celebrate the small proofs. The gentle affirmations that heaven is near, every answered prayer, every peaceful night's sleep, every moment of inner strength, that's the Father whispering, "See, I never left you." Nay, this is the beauty of divine reciprocity. The obedience you gave in faith returns as blessings wrapped in peace. And though no one else may fully understand how far you've come, heaven knows. Every secret prayer, every lonely decision to stay faithful, Every unseen yes, they've built the architecture of your current grace. You are now walking in evidence, not the evidence of effort, but the evidence of endurance. The glow upon you is not borrowed, it is birthed. You are no longer striving, you are steady. No longer chasing, you are chosen. And in the quiet hum of this realization, heaven smiles. And now, chosen one. The final sound draws near. The days have narrowed to a single thread of divine intention, November 12th. The prophetic date whispered since the beginning of this journey. You stand not at an ending, but at a threshold. Time has carried you faithfully here, step by trembling step. What awaits you beyond this moment is not uncertainty, but unveiling. Heaven's trumpet of destiny is about to sound, not in the skies, but within your spirit. You can feel it already, the quiet hum of completion, the sacred weight of fulfillment pressing gently against your heart. Every word spoken over your life, every prophecy that seemed delayed, is aligning now in unseen synchronization. This is the hour when everything converges: the prayers, the warfare, the obedience, the surrender. Each piece that once felt scattered finally finds its place. You are no longer the same person who began this journey. Something has shifted. Your spirit, once restless, has found rhythm. Your faith, once fragile, now stands like stone. You've learned that obedience is not about speed, but about stillness, not about control, but about trust. The wilderness taught you to hear God's whisper. The waiting taught you to trust His timing. Every season has been a teacher, and you have become the student who stayed until the final bell. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 32, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." This truth is your liberation. The truth that God was never silent, only strategic. The truth that delay was not denial, but direction. The truth that every loss was making space for something eternal. You are walking in freedom now, not because the world around you changed, but because you finally did. The trumpet of destiny is not a sound that everyone hears. It is a vibration in the soul, a divine resonance that awakens the ones who were always meant to hear it. It calls the chosen out from the crowd, separating the awake from the asleep. It announces that what was written in heaven is now ready to manifest on earth. And you, beloved, are one of those marked to respond. Do not imagine the sound as something loud or fearful. It is holy and gentle, like a melody remembered from before time began. It does not startle, it summons. It does not demand, it invites. And as it echoes through your spirit, you will recognize it instantly, because it sounds like home. When that trumpet sounds, perhaps not on November 12th at midnight, but in the stillness of your own awakening, you will know. You will feel an invisible release, a deep calm, and an assurance that everything is right where it belongs. The struggles that once shouted will grow silent. The questions that once burned will dissolve into peace. The striving will stop. That is the sound of destiny fulfilled. In that moment, you will also understand that this prophetic journey was never about a single date. It was about preparation for a lifetime of divine awareness. November 12th is not a finish line, it's a doorway. Once crossed, you will carry this awareness with you into every conversation, every decision, every act of love. You will walk differently, speak differently, See differently, because you will have learned how heaven moves. And when you look back, you will see the beauty of the pattern, how every silence had music hidden inside it, how every test became a chapter of wisdom, how every pain was really permission to grow, to awaken, to lead. You will understand that you were never waiting for the day. The day was waiting for you to become ready. The trumpet of destiny sounds once, but its echo continues forever. It reverberates through generations, through those who will meet you and feel peace without knowing why. You will carry that echo wherever you go, a living reminder that destiny is not achieved, it is received. So, breathe. Chosen one. The air of a new season fills your lungs. The night has given way to dawn. The waiting has fulfilled its purpose. You stand crowned, commissioned, and free. The date that once loomed ahead has now become part of you, a mark of remembrance that heaven does indeed keep its promises. The story continues, but the chapter has closed with grace. And now, as the final echoes fade, take a moment to rest in stillness. Let the journey settle deep within you. What began as a whisper became a revelation, and what was once fear has transformed into faith. You have walked the long road of awakening, from confusion to clarity, from silence to song. Remember, chosen one. Prophecy is not prediction, it is partnership. Heaven writes, but you must walk. The words you've heard were never about chasing signs, they were about becoming the sign. Every yes, you whispered, built a bridge between earth and eternity. You have become the message that heaven longed to send. As you move forward, let humility remain your crown and love your language. The world is loud, but truth does not shout, it shines. Carry this light into your relationships, your work, your quiet moments. Let your life itself become the continuation of this message. There will be new dates, new seasons, new calls, but never another first awakening. Protect it, nurture it, keep it alive through prayer, service, and gentleness toward others. You are now a guardian of light, not by title, but by essence. When others stumble in the dark, you will remember this journey and extend your hand. You will speak softly, not of your strength, but of His. That is what it means to be chosen, not to stand above, but to stand available. Heaven's trumpet has sounded, and its echo will follow you always. Walk forward, not in haste, but in harmony. The story of the chosen ones continues, and you are written at its heart.